So as a real estate professional, I get approached all the time. How do I get started in investing in real estate? Primarily people are interested in passive investing where they have a full-time job or have some sort of business. They have excess money, they want to put that to work for them, as well as enjoy the benefits of appreciation, inflation hedging, after-tax wealth accumulation. And so one of the people I've talked to before from a great organization is Whitney Elkins-Hutten. She is with PassiveInvesting.com, as well as soon to be an author. We'll talk about that in just a second. Whitney, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me on, Bill.
So second time around, I think we've been here together. Tell me a little bit about PassiveInvesting.com.
Yeah, we're a private equity firm based out of the Carolinas, and we focus on, building, helping our investors build passive portfolios in the hottest markets in the United States. We source multifamily deals, express car wash deals, which is a really unique kind of hybrid between business and real estate, self-storage deals. And then we also have a first position lien real estate debt fund, so that lends out to fix and flippers. And then we also do preferred equity deals, which is a hot thing in today's market, distressed market.
A lot of opportunities in distressed markets, huh?
Yes. And we want to make sure that they are the right opportunities in the distress market. Just because a deal's distressed doesn't necessarily mean that that's a deal that you want to go into. I mean, quite frankly, when we opened up our $20 million private equity or preferred equity fund, we knew there was a huge need out there, to infuse capital into deals that were otherwise performing outside of the debt. Like maybe the operator needed to replace their interest rate cap, or the cap rate, replace their debt. Maybe they needed to complete a refinance. Maybe, just with the run up in construction costs, during COVID, post-COVID, they needed a little bit more capital in order to complete their business plan. We are finding it a little difficult. We knew those deals existed. And quite frankly, one of the biggest challenges for us, in being able to, just throw 15, 20 deals into this fund has been the lender. So, because we want to make sure, especially going into a preferred equity type of environment, that we're sitting right behind now the senior debt, ahead of all the limited partner classes and the common equity classes in the deal. And so, our biggest, risk there is going to be the senior debt. And we're finding that, even just in the last 18, 24 months, there have been a lot of, debt operators that just put together, quite frankly, some very challenging deals for, their operating partners.
I just highlighted last week in my weekly real estate market update, a Class A office building here in West Los Angeles, like two of the major boulevards, beautiful area, beautiful building. It's fully operational, fully leased up, or 97% leased up, that sold for like 48% of what it sold for in 2018 or 19. And so you think about, well, that lender back then lended, maybe 60% loan to value, 65%. They're upside down on top of everybody else being wiped out. And so the question is, are they going to recognize that and make an adjustment, or are they going to hold fast and then they're going to take the building back, and who knows what happens to it, because they're not really in the business of maintaining the building. So I think that I do agree with Grant Cardone. I think there's more opportunities coming forward now than at any time in my life, but we're going to have to kind of pick through those opportunities and find them in the midst of the trash heap as some of these bad deals are put together. So are you on the side that finds those deals, or are you more on the fundraising side, or what's your particular role in this process?
Yeah, I'm more in the education marketing side of things. I do have a deep background in investor relations, so I understand, I feel like in investor relations, you almost have two customers, right? You have the operating team who has found a deal, put it under contract. Now you need to raise the capital in order to get the deal closed and fund the business plan. And at the same time, you're trying to do best by your investors. And so it's kind of like, I kind of equate it a little bit to property management, but you kind of have two people, two customers that you're trying to serve. But for me, my goal is to really help our investors, and really any investor that's interested in passive investing as a way to deploy capital so they can do with, create financial freedom for themselves, but also because they have a higher and better use with their time, probably in their day job or in running their own business. I really try to help, demystify the process for them, help them understand their goals, their risks, their timeline to investing, what are going to be probably the more appropriate asset classes for them to invest in, and then quite frankly, what is the step-by-step process in order to deploy that capital. And so, it's a wonderful opportunity for me. I really enjoy this because it allows me to serve, which is, kind of, what the impact I wanted to create in the world. Whoop, you're on mute.
I was coughing there and I had to put myself on mute and then I forgot to unmute myself. So you are the director of investor education for passive income, passiveinvesting.com. And along the way, you were interviewed on an episode of the Bigger Pockets podcast. What was that like?
It was fun. It was back when Brandon Turner was hosting the show. It was Brandon Turner and David Green. And quite frankly, I'm going to re-interview with David Green next week because I have a book coming out with them, Money for Tomorrow: How to Build and Protect Generational Wealth. So I'm super excited about that. But yeah, it's being interviewed on Bigger Pockets. It's like any other podcast interview. It's just it's the after the interview part that I think is like, going on a podcast of that size, you get a lot of feedback.
What was that like? It must have been amazing.
What at the time I was just purely investing. I was, kind of mentoring, just a handful of people here locally here in Colorado. But after that, you're kind of like a little mini celebrity, especially in your niche.
Sure.
In that, and the only niche that we really highlighted on that podcast was actually the fact that of me building a 36 unit portfolio through what we call BRRRR investing, buying below value, rehabbing it, putting a tenant in it, and then refinancing all my money back out. We didn't even touch on the fact that, I was, in private equity at the time. That was, kind of my day job, but also that I was a general partner on 10 multifamily deals. We didn't even highlight that piece. So it's going to be a really interesting, segue into part two. I think, people kind of, be a little disoriented. They're like, how does she do this in all of this time? And I'm like, no, that story was already developing, several years ago. We're just building upon it.
Well, I mean, being interviewed on a Bigger podcast one time would be like being Cinderella and going to the ball. Going on a second time would be like a second night for Cinderella. Did she get a second shot? I don't know if there's such a story there or an ad on that story. So congratulations on that. And congratulations on the book. Tell us a little bit about, what was your goal in the book and what do you think it does for helping people increase their income or build wealth?
Yeah. So, I'll answer the second part first. As I was coaching all these, investors into how to acquire, private real estate, or even investors in the private equity space, for them to get, started in, investing in their first, second, 1 through 5 private equity deals, I noticed something that not everybody really truly understood, what it meant to, what were the underlying fundamental principles of building wealth. And so it really left them in a position that they were going into these investments not as a very strong investor, right? They had heard, let's invest in private equity, or let's go buy a single family rental. They heard this tactic, resonated with it, and executed it. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to bring people back to the beginning. Okay, instead of jumping right to the tactic, let's truly understand what the game is here. The game is to build wealth. Ideally generational wealth. Okay. So what's the objective of the game? Like if we're going to lay this out like in a monopoly board, you got to understand the objective. Well, the objective of the wealth game is to have enough passive income to come in to do what you want, when you want, with who you want, and teach the next generation to do the same, right? That's what generational wealth is. For them to be good stewards and to grow upon what you've already built. Okay, fantastic. What are the rules? So this is where I really, was working with my clients. They understood the growth rule, or partly understood how to grow their wealth. What they didn't understand was truly how to create the wealth, how to keep it. And then they were getting stymied on how to pass this on to the next generation. They would scale a portfolio, but then they would be like, I don't know how to protect it. I'm losing all this money here, here, and here. Like, what do I do? And so I really wanted to put together a framework to help people understand the objective, the rules, and then we start getting into the fundamental strategy, those principles that apply in any market, whether it's going up, down, or sideways, that the greats have used in order to scale their wealth for millennia. And so I really wanted to take all this knowledge and kind of packed it into an easy to follow blueprint that anybody can follow. Now, here's the thing. I originally wrote the first version of this book for my daughter, who was 11 years old. I was like, what would happen if I got hit by a bus?
Wow.
And mom, all of this is in my head, she would have to sit through all these like podcast recordings and, everything in order to figure out exactly all the puzzle pieces that I had put together. I really wanted to write this blueprint for her. And then I quickly started implementing it with my clients. And I'm like, you know what? We have to get this out to the world. And that's where I had, you talk about Cinderella being invited to the ball. Bigger Pockets invited me to speak at a conference a couple years ago. And I was like, okay, well, I know exactly what I'm going to talk about. And by the end of the conference, they were like, do you want to write a book?
Wow.
Like,
and your book is published through Bigger Pockets, I know. So really, you've really hit the, for the circuit would be the baseball term. You really hit a home run in a sense that you spoke, interviewed twice, spoke publicly once, and wrote a book. What's left besides your own show in Bigger Pockets, I guess?
Well, there's wealth of ideas there, so we'll see.
Fantastic. So and the book is coming out February 22nd. We'll put the link in the description. People can sign up, get in line to order the book. And, Bigger Pockets is a great author, a great publisher, and I'm sure it's fantastic material. You're a great teacher. So let's talk a little bit about kind of the people that when they first call you, what stage are they at most commonly? Are they looking to make their first investment? They've done a couple and are skittish to continue. Where do you typically get people involved?
Yeah, if we're talking in the context of passive investing, how do we learn how to get the max return on our time, right? If we're looking at, the cash flow quadrant, you can either, we're moving away from being an employee or a self-employed person into owning a business or being an investor, right? I'm really working with those people that have realized, hey, I already got my job or I have my business, but I need to build this I quadrant. I need to figure out how to invest in other people's businesses so I can earn truly passive income. Okay, so step one really is helping them understand, is that investment real estate? Like, do they believe that this is actually an asset class that they can know, love, and trust, right? That it really can help build wealth for them. Now, I mean, it's, you and I both know real estate is, the number one asset class that it's made in ordinary people, millionaires and billionaires, okay, without college degrees. So you and I are sold, but not everybody else is.
Right.
So we understand that first. And then, and this is kind of a continuum because sometimes I talk to three different camps of people. One person is that they're highly skilled. They've been investing in private equities, for 5, 6, 7 years. They have 50, 60 deals under their belt. They just are, or maybe not even that many, maybe 20, and they're just new to us. Okay, so they need to, understand who we are. They need to know, love, and trust us as an operator. They need to understand our background, our track record, our expertise. Okay, and so we walk them through a conversation like that. And then the other two camps are either somebody's a real estate investor already, they've scaled a private portfolio, say single families and small multifamilies, and they went, uh-oh, this is not truly passive income.
That's me.
I have a job.
Get me out of here. Get me out of here, please. I don't want to do this.
They're like, I'm done with tenants, toilets, and trash. Maybe they just, want to completely switch their portfolio, or maybe they want to actually retire from their portfolio. So we help them understand, what skills you have as an operator, right? Because that's what you have to do. You've invested in yourself as an operator. Now you need to learn how to vet the operator, okay, and translate those skills and find the best COO to run your company. And you take on that CEO of your passive portfolio. And then we have the person who's like, say, like a doctor, lawyer, engineer, high net worth income, maybe a tech worker or something like that. And they realize they have a higher and better use for their time. Okay, they make plenty in their day job. Okay, and they they don't see the path of going to single family properties. They don't have time to do that. So they jump right to private equity deals, which is fantastic. That's fine. But that is, that's where I spend a lot of my time helping them assess their goals, their risks, their timeline, and then, teaching them tangible skills on how to vet operators, markets, and deals. And so they can feel comfortable and go into their first or next deal with confidence.
Well, look, I appreciate you sharing that. If somebody's interested in learning to expand their passive income, it sounds like more ideally somebody who's been doing real estate investment but looking to upgrade from the job of fix and flips and rental properties to enjoying passive income, or maybe adding passive income to their job of fix and flips. I think that's me. I have a business in real estate as a salesperson. I make good money. I like what I do. I'm not giving it up. I just can't flip houses while I'm doing that at scale, so I have to invest passively. So if somebody's interested in developing a relationship with you or getting started, what would the next step be?
Yeah, I make it extremely simple. You would reach out to me at passiveinvestingwithwhitney.com. And there I've got free goodies for you, but also you just fill out a quick little form. We get to know each other just a little bit on, I collect a little bit of information on you, and then you get access to my schedule, and we can hop on a phone call and understand how we here at passiveinvesting.com can help you achieve your goals. And, Bill, I was right there, with you. I still do have some active real estate in my portfolio, but, two things happened. One, this was back in a time where I had a lot of cash flow and capital coming back at me, and I couldn't deploy it quick enough. So I was like, okay, let's diversify my portfolio. Let's diversify the operator, quite frankly. And I started investing in private equity real estate. And then, conversely, on the flip side, when the market starts softening a little bit, those active deals aren't coming to you as readily as they were. The passive portfolio can help support your cash flow needs and your equity needs, like during that time period as well. So it's a great little buffer.
It's been fantastic for me. I have to say, I have passive income and I have residual income. So residual is in a business where you get money from various other streams of income. And one thing I've learned is that money always comes when you need it most. Like the 1 month I don't close a deal, that's when the residual pops in. Or that's when you get the passive income hits your bank account. You go, oh, that's pretty nice. Like I made money and I was just sleeping this month. I didn't close a deal, but I still made money in my investments. And that's the goal, obviously, is to get to where you can do your business, free the constraints of having to make the house payment, having to pay for food. That's covered with your passive income. And then you can add to that by continuing to build your business. So for those interested, passiveinvestingwithwhitney.com. We'll put that in the note down below. We'll also put a link to her book if you want to sign up to get a copy or pre-order or however all that works. Love to do that. Whitney, as always, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Bill. This has been such a pleasure.